Okay, so we want to talk today about mentoring. And my first question is that I want every one of you to think about, and I want you to put your responses in the chat. What is a mentor? So think about that for just a second and put your responses in the chat. Let's see what people say. A guide, I like it. Someone you can go to with questions, very good. Thank you, Jonah, and thank you, Amanda. What else? What is a mentor? Someone to look up to, very good, Elizabeth. A role model. The Schutza, I probably murdered that, sorry about that, but that's a great answer, a role model. Someone you can trust, very good. Someone interested in your development, someone that helps you navigate the system, someone to help you establish and accomplish goals, someone with whom you can be vulnerable. I really like that. Someone who supports you. These are fantastic answers. Someone who is non-judgmental and open-minded. Very good. Very good. I really like all these answers, and I think you know what you want, what a mentor is. And just great answers. So, you know, if we try to define this, and this has been defined by individuals who study this, they've defined it in the following manner. Mentors are advisors, people with career experience willing to share their knowledge, supporters, people who give emotional and moral encouragement, tutors, people who give specific feedback on one's performance, masters in the sense of employers to whom one is apprenticed, sponsors, sources of information and aid in obtaining opportunities, models of identity, the kind of person one should be to be an academic. Okay, now I will tell you right now, that is wow. To find that all in one person, that is really huge, okay? And if you can find that perfect mentor, I encourage you to do it because they're out there, but they're very few and far between because that is a number of different things. But when you find that person, they're with you for the rest of your lives. I mean, it is a lifetime relationship. So I still have mentors that helped me in graduate school that I keep in contact with and that are still looking out for me. And it is fantastic. So what's the difference? Here's the next question I want you to put in the chat and answer. What is the difference between an advisor and a mentor? Okay. What's an advisor? What's a mentor? What's the difference? Or is it the same thing? What do you think? What is the difference between an advisor and a mentor? Any answers in the chat? Advising versus mentoring. What's the difference between an advisor and a mentor? Okay. A mentor teacher and a mentor teaches, an advisor tells. Very good. A mentor relationship is reciprocal. An advisor is more focused on academics. These are excellent answers, and I think really get to the point. An advisor and is academic specific to achieve your academic goals. Very good. Okay. An advisor is someone who helps navigate graduate classes and help you stay on track, where a mentor is more of a relationship. I like that. Advisor is not so committed. Mentor teaches and follows up with your growth pattern and makes recommendation. Very good. Very good. So I think you realize what I'm talking about here. Now, so I've just said, you know, an advisor outlines steps to complete a task. It provides information about activities that must be completed to attain a goal. So hopefully all of you have an advisor, someone you can go to that outlines the requirements of what you need to do to pursue your degree. Okay. Now, as a lot of you pointed out, a mentor goes a little bit deeper than this. Okay. They possess deeper engagement based on a person's understanding of individual's career aspiration. They provide individualized instruction and facilitates bilateral two-way engagement. Okay, remember somebody somebody answered that they're helping to, Jillian answered that a mentor relationship is reciprocal. Okay, so there's two-way engagement with it. They understand a mentee's experiences, strengths, weaknesses, aspirations, values, and professional goals. So one thing that we have to realize is that an advisor may also be a mentor. And a mentor may be an academic advisor, but this isn't always the case. And if it's not that way, it's just fine. Okay? So as a graduate student, if you think about this as a graduate student or as a professional student, you may have an academic advisor. You may have someone who supervises your work. You may have a dissertation chair, or you may have a committee that's full of mentors. And all of these individuals may have different and may have overlapping roles. And so I think this is something that's very important to think about is, okay, who are these people that are advising me? And who are these people that are mentoring me? What's the difference? And think about it, you really need both. And if your advisor isn't a mentor, then you need to find a mentor. And if your mentor isn't advising, you need to find an advisor, because they have some distinct roles, but they can also have complementary roles. Well, they have complementary roles, but it can also be in one person. A mentor can be an advisor as well. So I'd like to talk just for a few minutes about how to find a good mentor. I assume that most of you are in graduate school. And graduate school is a really cool time because it's a time of transition when you're finishing some other thing that you've been doing, whether it's education, whether it's working at a job, whether it's spending time with family or other interests, and you're entering a new period of your life where you're wanting to gain new skills, and you want someone that can help you navigate that. And so you're expecting to enter a mentoring relationship because you want to know how you can achieve your goals. Okay, so when you go looking for a mentor, your mentor may know some of your goals. And so if your department has an academic advisor, they'll say, you go to them and you'll say, I want to graduate. I want to graduate with a degree in this many years. And they will say, okay, you need to take these classes, you need to pass these exams, and you need to defend your dissertation or your thesis. They'll tell you exactly what you need to do, okay? Just in the same way, you can find a mentor and you can say, will you please help me to achieve these goals? Will you please help me to earn my master's degree? Will you please help me to earn my PhD degree? I would like you to advise me, and I would like you to give me all kinds of help. And so you can go to your mentor and you can go to an individual and you can ask them if they would be willing to do that. But you have to remember that a mentor may know some of your needs, but a lot of times they're not going to know all of your needs and goals. And so you can say, okay, and I will give you a story about this. I had a student that was working in my lab. I have a research laboratory. I have a student that was working in my lab as an undergraduate student. And, a lot of my undergraduate students will go to medical school. Some of them will go to graduate school. And so he was in my lab and he was just, working along, and I thought things were doing fine. And until I gave him what is called an individual development plan, and I asked him to fill it out. And so he filled it out, and it talked about his goals and what he hoped to achieve. And for the first time, I realized he wanted to go to graduate school and to be a professor. When I found that out as his mentor, things changed very rapidly. In fact, I started talking to him and I said, okay, how can I help you reach this goal? Because I didn't know about that, but now that I know that, I can help you. And short end of a little short ending to the story, he applied for graduate school, and now he is working in my lab, working on a master's degree. And so he's in graduate school right now, and I was able to open some doors, and basically he was able to help me too, because he has some great skills that I use in my lab. And so because we knew about that, because I found out about some of his needs, I was able to help facilitate that. So what I am telling you is when you start looking for mentors and when you start selecting mentors, you have to be an active participant. You have to help those mentoring relationships along. You have to let your mentors know what you need, what your goals are, where you want to end up. And so that these mentors can help you attain your goals. Not only graduation, but what do you want to do after graduation? A true mentor will be able to open doors for you and help you as you are looking for jobs or further opportunities. So I think we already alluded to this, but the question is a single mentor adequate for a graduate student's needs? And I would say no. We all need more than one mentor. So for instance, people have complex mentoring needs. So you might have somebody that you like, a mentor that you go to for your academic needs. You might have a mentor you go to for your mental needs or your emotional needs. You might have a mentor you go to for your spiritual needs. And so people have complex mentoring needs. A mentor serves effectively in multiple roles. And if you find that perfect mentor, they can do that. But more usually, a mentee must have multiple mentors with specific strengths and expertise. And so this is what we call comprehensive mentoring. So comprehensive is you have multiple people who can do different roles and mentor you in different ways, whereas guru mentoring is basically you just have one person. And so you really need to think about that. You need to think about, what do I want in the mentoring relationship? Okay. So I want to stop right here, and I'm going to answer a question that Sheila has. Is there a list of faculty, staff, and others here on campus who have expressed that they are willing to work with us graduate students? Okay, that's a very good question. And I'm going to give a short answer to that and a little bit more complicated answer to that. Okay, first of all, yes. And where can you find them? Just look through the web pages. If people are faculty and staff here at IUPUI, they do it, and a lot of them do it because they've expressed interest and they want to help students. They want to help individuals like you progress. And so you say, well, where's that list? Look on your department website. Look through the IUPUI websites. Find email addresses. And then what do you have to do? You have to contact them. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But if I were you, I would consider everybody you meet, okay? Every professional that you meet here on this campus, a potential mentor. And it will surprise you who those mentors might be. And okay, so you might contact some of them and they will say, why are you contacting me? Or they might not respond to your email or something like that. And then you can check them off your list. Okay, they're not available to mentor me. But you can look through other people, and it may take a few people that you go through and that you go through when you're selecting your mentors, and that you ask. And so I would consider everyone you meet here on this campus a potential mentor and use that. Okay, now we're going to get into what do you need to do. And this is my assignment for you, for each of you today, on basically this comprehensive mentoring. How do you get there? What do you do? Okay, so you have to do some things on your own first. The first thing you need to ask yourself, and you need to reflect, what are my academic and professional goals? What do I want to achieve with my experience here at IUPUI, and where do I want it to lead me in the future? Write those things down. Make a note of that, okay? Define who you want to be, okay? So that's the first thing that you do, okay? The second thing that you do, and this gets back to what Sheila was talking about, who are the people in the field, in my preferred field, who are good at what I need? So you need to identify resources, okay? So some of those resources might be people in your department, faculty in your department. They might be your graduate advisor. It might be somebody in the library that can help you with research, okay? Those people all could qualify as mentors. Now I said, and Sheila asked, are there mentors here on campus? But and yes, there are, and that should include everybody, but I would also suggest to you that there are mentors that are not on campus that could help you as well and help you to achieve your goals. So there might be a mentor if you attend church, there might be a mentor there that would help you. If you have been employed by somebody, there might be a mentor at your work, or if you are employed by somebody, there might be a mentor there. Okay, so you can identify, okay, which of these people, and you can start and you make a list. You make a list. That list may be 10 or 20 names long. But once you've identified your needs, you said, who can help me with these needs? So in your academic needs within your department, you're going to list probably faculty in your department. You're going to look at websites. You're going to look at what they do and say, oh yeah, this person is an expert in what I want to do. I want them to be one of my mentors. So you look at that. You look at different resources, IUPUI. You know, if you're in the School of Medicine and you want to do translational medicine, then you start looking for those doctors who are doing translational medicine. They might not be in your department, but they may be out there ready to help you. If you're in education and you're looking to help with community education, you might look in the community and say, who are the people that are doing what I want to do? And can I contact them? Okay, so you write that list, 10 or 20 names, each of your needs. Okay, think about what your needs are. So go back to one, reflect, identify people who could help with those needs. Then you have to ask. Okay, you have to ask people. You can't assume that somebody is going to take a mentoring relationship unless you really ask them to. You know, people might be a friend or people might be somebody you go to, but really with that mentoring relationship, you want to get that deep kind of reciprocal, involved in what you're doing type of relationship. And so you need to ask, and you need to say, hey, could we sit down? And it's easy, and I would send an email. Send an email once you have identified people in step 2, send them an email and say, hey, you know, my name is Randall Roper. I'm in the PhD program here in the Department of Biology at IUPUI, and I'm looking for somebody who can mentor me on how to look and find great research articles on the topic I'm interested in. And I might email a couple of librarians on campus, or I might email and say to somebody, I'm really interested in somebody who can help me to understand the coronavirus. And so I might email 2 or 3 people that I have that have an expertise and ask them to mentor me in that. So you have to state who you are, what your needs are, and you have to ask, hey, you know, is there some time that we could talk? Or, you know, would you be willing to do this? So you have to ask for help. And then the 4th step is don't be afraid to fail. Okay. You may have identified mentors that you thought were perfect, that they turn out not to be perfect. So it may be that a person with expertise in your field is out of the country for 2 years. And so that wouldn't work for you. It may be that one of your mentors is just too busy. You know, what good is it to have somebody who says they're your mentor if they're not able to meet with you? It isn't. So you want to identify those people. And if you fail, you move on to the next person on the list and you identified more people. So you go back to step 2 and you keep doing that until you find your mentoring list. So some of you may say, well, this is kind of like establishing my graduate committee. Some of you need a graduate committee to graduate, to defend your thesis or defend your dissertation. And I would say, yes, that includes your whole graduate committee, but also may include people beyond your graduate committee. And so I would suggest that you have a number of mentors. So your task list is to find, I would say by the end of this year, and I would even move that timeline up. If you're just starting in your semester here at IUPUI, if you're just starting, I would say by the end of this semester, so by the time we have our winter vacation, I think you should have 4 to 5 people in your mentoring network that you have identified that will help you in graduate studies, okay? The next thing, once you've identified these people, I would suggest that you have routine times that you meet formally with your mentors, okay? If this is somebody at work, say, hey, so-and-so, can we meet about every 6 months to talk about my progress and what I'm doing, okay? So the question is how many people did I mention? So if we go back to the last slide, when you talk about step 2, this might be 10 or 20 people who are prospective mentors. What I think you should do by the end of this semester, or at least by the end of the year, is have 4 to 5 people identified in your mentoring network that are mentors to you. Okay? Have a way that you can formally meet with them. Some departments have regulated this in that you have to meet with your graduate committee every 6 months or every year. Those are a form of your mentors. They may not be all of your mentors. Some of you may meet with a graduate advisor or somebody who is advising your research work once a week or maybe once a month. And so, yes, you want to have routine times that you're meeting with your mentors. Then again, you want to check again informally with your mentors, just to provide a quick note or update. You know, if you submit a paper for a conference and it gets accepted, hey, let people know about it. Let your mentors know, hey, I got accepted to this great conference, or hey, I just published this paper. Those are fantastic things that mentors like to hear. And the last thing that I would say is follow through on your commitments. If your mentors ask you to do something, you know, big or small, do it. So a lot of your mentors, sometimes it'll say, hey, you know, this sounds interesting. Send me a copy of your resume or send me your CV. And you'll say, well, I don't have a CV. I don't have a resume. Guess what? It's time to make one. That's something that will help your mentor because your mentor is taking a vested interest in you. They want to know what you've done. If your mentor says, I'd really like to read your personal statement, where are you going? You know, a lot of you had to make a personal statement for application to graduate school. Send them that personal statement. So your mentors will ask you for things because they want to help you be a better person and they want to mentor you. And so they'll ask you to do specific things. And I would do that. Now, of course, this is within reason. You know, if you have a mentor that says, I need a chocolate cake every Friday, maybe it's not such a good mentor. But if you have a mentor that says, hey, let's go get chocolate cake once every 6 months and I'm buying, maybe that's the kind of mentor you want. All right, so mentoring at its best. I like what this says. At its best, mentoring can be a life-altering relationship that inspires mutual growth, learning, and development. Its effects can be remarkable, profound, and enduring. Mentoring relationships have the capacity to transform individuals, groups, organizations, and communities. Okay, so mentoring can be transformational. And you think as students, well, I'm going to get everything, you know, from my mentors, and that's not the case. That mentors also get something from you. So at its best, it's reciprocal. It's building both of you. And I will tell you, I have a number of mentoring relationships that it's reciprocal. That I give something to them, they give something to me. And those are the most fantastic mentoring relationships. If I think about it, you know, this is personally, I have 5 mentors. I have 5 mentors that I regularly go to. Different parts of my life, career-wise, spiritually, emotionally, I have 5 mentors that I regularly count on and utilize in my professional and personal growth. And so I'm not just talking the talk. I have these individuals, and I think it's good for you to have them too. Now, I want to get to in the last few minutes, and what I will do, and this is being recorded so you can look back at this, but I want to give you an idea of some things, some questions you can ask potential mentors. And I'm going to go through these a little bit quickly. I think there are about 15 questions that you can get to know your mentor or a potential mentor better by asking these questions. Number 1, you want to know something about their mentoring philosophy. So ask them, what do you think a good mentor should do? What's your mentoring philosophy? How do you involve your graduate students in? And then think about where you want to go. Remember that a reflective spot. So it could be teaching, literature reviews, grant writing, manuscript writing, mentoring undergraduate students, organizing meetings, designing experiments. So you want to know how they involve graduate students in the things you want to do. Next question. You want to know a little bit about their personality. Ask some hard questions. How do you resolve disagreements with your graduate students? Whoa. Are mentors and mentees going to disagree? Yep, they are. And they want to know, you want to know how you're going to resolve it when you don't agree with your mentor. Okay. If you're in the laboratory sciences, if an experiment doesn't work, how do you deal with the graduate student who performed the experiment, who failed at the experiment? If a graduate student wants to pursue a line of research that is not already defined, how do you respond to that? And then you can find out a little bit about their personality if you say, what do you like to do when you're not at work? Interesting things to find out about a mentor. Okay. Contact. How often do you like to meet with a graduate student that you're mentoring? How often do you have lab or group meetings if you're looking for a research mentor and you're looking for a laboratory to join? To whom will I report most often about my work and my research? Am I going to report directly to this mentor, or am I going to report to maybe somebody a little bit further down? Am I going to report, if I'm in research, to a postdoctoral fellow? Or am I going to report to an assistant professor rather than this full professor who's my mentor? What is your preferred way of communication with graduate and professional students? Okay, this is something that I ask when I look for students, because I know there are a multitude of ways to communicate with students. And, I have my preferred ways. I'm old-fashioned. I like to do email. So my students and I, we know that we communicate by email. Now we communicate other ways. We have a group meet, we communicate by text, we communicate by phone, but most of our communication is through email. Okay, if you're looking for a laboratory, you might ask, how many graduate students do you advise? What is the composition of your lab or group? So are there research professors, postdocs, graduate students, undergraduate students? So how many people does this individual mentor? And how big is their research group if you're looking for a laboratory? And then if you're looking to work with them directly, what hours do you expect your student to be at work or in the lab? And you can say, does this fit with who I want to be or how I want to pursue my graduate work? Some people will say, I don't care. Some people will say, I want to see your face between 9 and 5 every day. So, think about those things. Now you want to think about what kind of opportunities will you have with a specific mentor? How often do your graduate students go to meetings to present their work? How often do your graduate students publish papers or other articles? Okay, some things about, think about what your needs are. If you need to publish things or if you need to achieve certain research goals, how often is this mentor helping them to do that? And specifically, if they're a mentor that's supervising research. And then you want to understand, where are people who this individual is mentoring? Where are they going? So you can ask them questions about, how long does it usually take people that you mentor or your graduate students to finish their degrees? And then a really good question is, tell me about your last 3 students that you mentored. Where are they? Where are they now? And see if they might be achieving the same types of places where you want to be. So these are some questions. You don't have to ask these exact questions, but they give you an idea of some questions you might want to ask potential mentors. And ask about different facets of their life, how they're going to interact with you, what opportunities you'll have. See if they're going to get you and help you to go to where you want to go. So that is the end of my presentation. That is the official presentation. So what I'm going to do is I would be happy to answer questions. So if you'd like to unmute and ask a question, or if you would like to put a question in the chat, I would be happy to address those questions. And actually, to start out, while you're thinking, or perhaps while you're typing those questions, I had one of you emailed me earlier today and mentioned that you're a returning student, that you're coming back after being in the workforce, you're coming back for your education and to get additional education. How might you find a mentor and someone that would help you to get to where you want to go? And to that question, I would say, number one, I believe you're going into mechanical engineering. So look in the mechanical engineering department and say, who's doing what I want to do? And go to those people and say, hey, I really have an interest in what you're doing. Could we talk about it a little bit? Could I see if your goals are aligned with what I would like to do, if you're looking for somebody like me to work with? So that's one place I would go. The second place I would go for this individual for a mentor is I would go back to where you just were working or places you've worked in the past. And I would say, look to people at work, find that person that you're going back to school for because you want to become this, or they've been successful at doing what you want to do, and ask them if they will help mentor you to get where they're at. So those are 2 really good places for returning students that they can look for mentors. Okay. Other questions? Okay, I really like the chat from Geneva about, seeking out mentors. Don't just wait for somebody to be assigned to you. Seek them out. Go find them. You need these individuals, and you want people to be on your team. It's like, hey, you're assembling your Olympic team with you to go and achieve what you want to do. And so you want to choose the best people that you can to be on that team. Okay, let's see. What is the best way, this is from Kayla, what is the best way to approach people in your field that are not professors at the school? I have had questions for professionals in my field with work that I have not seen here. I would not necessarily be asking them about mentorship, but would like more information about their studies. That is a fantastic question. I really like that. What I would suggest, and I've done this myself, is you can just send an email to these people. You introduce yourself. You say, I'm a student at IUPUI. I'm looking for this. And then you say, would you have some time for an informational interview? Okay. And then you set aside some time. So hopefully they'll have, 15 or a half hour for an informational interview. And then I could just ask you some questions about what you do. And most people will respond to that and will give you that time, or you find the people who will. So I've had informational interviews with a number of the top biomedical people in Indianapolis because I did that exact thing. I said, I'd like to know more about this. Do you have time for an informational interview? And, if I listed the who's who of Indianapolis, I've talked to most of them because of that. And because I approached them and say, hey, do you have some time? Another way to do this is look at your LinkedIn network. So we'll talk about networking later in the semester. So if you're not networked, you need to network, but look at your LinkedIn network and find out who you know that knows somebody else and use that. So go to that person you know really well and say, hey, would you introduce me to so-and-so? Because I'd really like to get to know them or have an informational interview with them and see if you can use that network. Okay, so what incentive can we give someone so they will be more inclined for mentoring us? This is from Vish. So, I don't know that there's an incentive. Most people that I know on this campus are here because they want to see people like you succeed. Okay, I think you need to understand that. Most of us are really here for you. And what incentive can you give to that? Well, ask, because a lot of times we're flattered when people come to us and say, hey, would you mentor me? Would you help me with this? Ask about us. We love to talk about what we do. Doesn't everybody love to talk about what we do? So that's what we do. And then if they agree to mentor with you, remember that step. Do those things they ask you to do, because that makes the mentoring experience much, 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 much more joyful. So those are the kinds of things you can do. It's not a bribe. It's not a reward thing. Okay. The joy that most of us get here is seeing our students succeed, seeing you move on to a great company, seeing you get a great position, seeing you become a professor. That's what we want. And so that's the incentive for us, is to being able to help you. Okay, Elizabeth asks, for some international students, first time in IUPUI, how do we know who to approach? This is very good. This is a good question. So if you're new to IUPUI, look around you. Ask students who are perhaps in your classes, say, hey, who are the good mentors in this department? Who are the people that I need to get to know? Okay, ask people. I would go to your department website and just see who's doing what I want to do and ask them. So, ask friends, ask everybody you are around them. Asking the question, that's not going to cost you anything. You can ask. And for remote students in other states, I would just say, send an email. Send an email to ask. Send an email to a person on a department website and just say, hey, I'm interested in this. Would you have a time? And we're all used to Zoom chats, and say, hey, do you have a time that we could talk about, some goals that I have and potentially mentoring me, and then set up a Zoom and go to that department or that school website and say, who's doing what I want to do? And so, ask people around you. You can ask people in in Zoom sessions. You know, if you're a remote student, you have Zoom sessions, you know that chat, you can look for anybody in that session. You can send a personalized chat to them without the person like me seeing that. And you can do that to other students, and you can say, hey, who are the good mentors here? You've got to be able to connect with them so you can connect with students remotely as well. All right, other questions? Okay, I'm working full-time and studying part-time. Managers and directors at my company are often busy. How can I encourage them to take the time to mentor me? Okay, we're all busy. Okay, that's true for, you know, most successful people are busy. And it's the reward. It's the reward as, you know, if I see somebody who's really trying to improve themselves and who's really trying, who has goals, you know, I'll make time for that if I can. And you know what? If I don't have time, I will tell that person. And that's okay too, because you don't want somebody who doesn't have time for you. You know, it just may be that they're too busy. And then you find somebody who's not too busy and you help them. But a lot of times people will make the time for you, at least for that informational interview, or at least for that kind of, you know, tell me how you could help me as a mentor. And find the people at your company that aren't too busy. You know, you might find them at lunch, or you might find them in another place. They may not be the president yet, but they may be rising up, and find those people to help mentor you. Other questions? Okay. I thank you all for joining us today. I hope this session has been informational and has been helpful for you. Like I said, these midday mentoring sessions happen every month where we have different topics. And the next one will be on September 23rd. It's called Grad Student Life Hacks. We're going to have a panel of individuals to help us to understand how to get through graduate school, what they've done. And so please join us for that. Go to our website. It's go.iupui.edu/GMC. So look at our Graduate Mentoring Center website and find more things about seminars that we have and opportunities. But I really thank you today. I'm going to stop the recording now. And if any of you would like to ask questions, I'll stay on for just a little bit and try to answer some of your questions. Okay.